Sabrina.
You're
Got
set.
it. Hi, everyone. My name is Dená Brummer. I am a teacher here with Mesa, and thank you for coming to my Infused Honey Workshop. So for those of you that don't know me, I am a food systems educator. I also am a private chef, and I run a teaching garden with an organization here in Southern California called the City of Hope. It's a cancer facility, and we have this lovely 13-bed organic garden that I manage and curate the programming for. When I'm not working as a teacher at USC or Mesa or running this garden or working as a professional chef, I am a master gardener and a master food preserver. So my life in every way is centered around helping people grow food, cook food, and preserve food. So since we're a really small group, I was wondering if we could just go around really quick for people to introduce themselves. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay, thank you. And you know what? And then pick someone else to toss it to, and then we'll knock it out.
Okay. Hi everyone. My name is Sabrina. I'm the program coordinator with Mesa, and I'm really excited for this webinar because part of my work with Mesa has included working with beekeeping apprentices, and
Mm.
this has been, yeah, this is not like a step of the process of processing honey or of working with it that I'm familiar with. So yeah, really excited to learn this evening with all of you. Um, I will pass it to, let's see, Betty.
Oh my God, I knew you were gonna call me. I'm like eating dinner. Um, sorry.
Sorry about that.
Hi, I'm Betty. I'm in Long Beach, California. I was in the last Mesa Agroecology cohort with Frida. I'm a master gardener. Let's see, California naturalist. Anyway, so yeah, I'm just beekeeping is I'll get there eventually, but yeah, I have friends that are beekeepers, and so it's something I've been wanting to do, and get involved, and it'll happen eventually. So yeah, I was just excited to see what y'all are doing. Thank you.
Awesome. Who do you want to toss it to, Betty?
I'm sorry, I forgot that part. I will give it to Bernice.
Hey, Bernice, can you unmute to introduce yourself, please?
Hi, I'm so sorry I'm so late.
It's okay.
But hi, my name is Bernice Moraga, and yes, I'm here to join and learn all about the great knowledge that you're going to provide to us. So thank you so much for having me.
No worries. Who do you want to toss it to next?
Excuse me?
Who do you want to toss it to next? We're kind of playing hot potato. Once you
Oh,
introduce
got
yourself,
it.
you
Okay,
pick another person. Betty
let
picked you.
me pick Betty.
Betty actually picked you.
Oh, no way. Okay, perfect.
Too
Let me go
funny.
with, oh, I got a good one. Mika.
Okay.
Yes.
Hi. I'm Mika. Bernice told me about this, so I'm kind of just coming into this really new, but I'm already really excited. Um, I've recently kind of finished school for general horticulture. I just want to get more involved in you know, just food in general and like vegetables and like why they're good for you and combating misinformation and stuff like that and just in general wanting to end like plant blindness as far as like everywhere, you know. And yeah, honey's really good too, so I'm excited for that.
All right, who do you want to call on next?
At M, have you spoken?
Not yet. Hi.
Okay, again.
Hi, everyone. I'm Em. I am the social media and marketing intern for Mesa right now. Always super stoked to connect with all of the wonderful people that come to these happy hours. Always such an eclectic group of people from all over the place, wanting to learn about similar topics and share knowledge. So I'm excited. I love honey. I would love to learn more about beekeeping. I think we have one of the beekeeping graduates here who has a honey business. Ray, are you here?
Hi, yeah, I'm here.
All right, I'll toss it to you then.
Well, hi, everybody. My name is Ray Thor. I'm the CEO and the owner of Frida Be My Honey. I was
Ooh.
the person who actually participated in the beekeeping program with the with Mesa and the Eco Village Farm. I'm a person who was really interested about sustainability and the environment at all. Like I generally like the earth, rocks, animals, everybody on this planet. I think we should care about. And I always had a passionate about sustainability, and I believe that sustainability is good business. So understanding about the importance of bees and why bees are important and all the things that bees does for our planet made me very interested to be more in the bees business. The more I'm really interested to know more and more and to meet people who have the same interests. Thank you.
I love it. Thank you. You're like the resident expert since you're a beekeeper. Who do you want to
I
call
am
on?
not a beekeeper, but I do distribute honey, so I work with beekeepers.
Okay. Who did you want to call on next?
Sorry, I forgot that part. So I will call Cecilia.
Hey, Cecilia, are you with us?
Yes, hi everyone. My name
Hi.
is Cecilia. I'm from Kenya and I'm a steward, Mesa steward. Hopefully 2024. And I'm glad it's so early here in Kenya because it's around 5 a.m.
Oh,
and I'm
wow.
glad to yeah, I'm glad to see everyone. And I look forward. I am also eager to learn and get some insights about honey. And yeah, thank you for having us
No
and
worries.
for
Thank
having
you.
me.
Who do
Yeah.
you want to call on, Cecilia?
Maybe I go with George.
All right, George.
Hi, good morning. Hi.
Hi, George.
Morning.
You just want to introduce yourself and then call someone else?
Okay, thank you so much for the opportunity. My name is George Kiprokndara. I'm from Eldridge. I'm actually an agroecological trainer and also a full-time farmer. I'm happy to be here. I'll call the next person. Let me call Bright Future. I
Okay.
don't know who it is.
Hi guys,
Hi, how are you doing?
well fine. My name is John Wigai.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you. We were sleeping. It's only that I found like I just wake up and then remember like we had like a meeting.
Oh, I'm so glad you
It's,
made it though.
yeah. Thank you. And then like I was trying to call others so that they can wake up and they can join you.
Okay. Who
Yeah,
did
here
you
we
want to
go.
call on next?
Maybe I can call Beatrice. I don't know if she's around.
Oh, Beatrice actually went already. I think we haven't heard from Dario or Betty.
Busy.
I think we did already hear from Betty. So
Oh,
Yeah,
we
we
heard from
did.
Betty? Okay,
Yeah.
so I think the last person is Dario.
Okay, I think like we can get like a from her now. Let me choose the person that I feel like should talk. Dario.
hey, Dario, you with us to introduce yourself? Unmute for a second.
I think we might be on hold. All right.
Well, Gabriella, since you just came in, do you want to introduce yourself? Gabriella or Dario?
I think we might be on hold. All right, I'll go ahead and get started without them because I want to be mindful of the time that we have together. So before we start, I do want to go over a couple housekeeping rules. If everyone could mute their mics. And we're gonna nix the second one. You don't have to hold your questions because we are a small group. At any point, if you do have questions for me, jump in. If you have any resources to share, please share them in the chat. And then if you want me to see your beautiful faces, turn on your cameras. If not, I understand. I know it's around dinner time or even breakfast for some of us. So if you need to keep your cameras on, I won't take it, off. I won't take it personal. All right. So honey has been around since the beginning of time. It's honestly as old as sin. The first humans to encounter honey happened over 100,000 years ago. And we know from cave drawings, some of the pictures that I have on the slide are evidence of pre-medieval humans showing how they gathered honey, and also some of the wild extent that they went to harvest honey. Everything from climbing over cliffs, enduring getting stung by thousands of bees for that sweet reward. The painting on the right is from ancient India, and it also just kind of highlights like how people were cultivating and using honey all over the globe throughout time. Honey also has always had some medicinal benefits. The Chinese actually included honey as a form of medicine, and there are 52 prescription books that came out around the Third Dynasty. In ancient Egypt, it was more than just an important sweetener. Honey was drawn on the walls, as you see, but it was also described on different papyrus as being used as a medicine to treat wounds. Specifically on the Smith papyrus that came out around 1700 BC, there was a line that says, "Thou shalt bind the wound with fresh meat the first day, and treat afterwards with grease, honey, and lint every day until he recovers." This is evident that honey had medicinal uses and was actually a form of medicine. Honey also had like religious and ritual and cultural, it was steeped in cultural beliefs and systems. For example, in Greece, the honeybee is a sacred symbol of Artemis, and it was actually found on some coins in the 6th century. And in addition, when the Spaniards came to Mexico and Central America, they discovered that the natives there were actually already beekeeping. And in this part of the world, there's actually a native stingless bee that was used as a gift to the gods. The honey would basically be used in rituals, and it was a sign of fertility and giving as an offering. So here are some additional really cool facts about honey. It will last forever if you store it properly. It also has antibacterial benefits. There have been medical journals published to demonstrate that honey is effective against MRSA, which is a skin rash that's very common in hospital settings. Honey also comes in over 100 different colors, from transparency to almost black as tar. The darker the honey, the more antioxidants it actually has in it. Honey is actually the only natural edible product that contains everything that needs to sustain life, from vitamins to minerals to water to enzymes. So if you ever get lost in a while, honey will be your best friend in terms of surviving. Another neat point about honey is that it was actually used to help against tooth decay, and that it helps alleviate infections around gums. I thought that was kind of neat. And finally, there are over 50 different varieties of honey, in terms of it being super sweet to very mild. A really famous honey is the Tubeliplo honey. It's really sweet. Any questions before I go on? Nope.
What are your thoughts on the was it the Maluka honey? What's that one fancy one that's really expensive?
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yes.
What's the name of it?
I think it's Manuka honey.
Manuka
Yeah.
honey.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's it.
You know, I do not know why it is so expensive. Apparently it comes from like Australia and New Zealand, but
Uh,
you know, I don't know why it's more expensive than honey here in the United States. There's some varieties. I will go over different types of honey, so when you are shopping, you can kind of discern what you are buying, because not all honey is created equal.
that is right. Thank you.
No worries. So let's get into how to make honey. So why infuse honey? Well, you can create a variety of different flavors. In addition, depending on the type of the honey, you can enjoy the health benefits from the spices and the herbs, and then you can just elevate whatever you're cooking. Honey is my best friend in the kitchen. I use it for marinades, for vinaigrettes, to coat things, to cook with, for teas. I even make cough medicine out of it as well. So let's get into the differences of honey, because everybody wants to always know, well, what is organic better than raw? Is raw better than local? What's filtered and all that jazz? So the first thing I want you to understand is that pure honey means that you are getting a product that is 100% pure, meaning nothing has been done to it at all. No additives have been added to it, and that's actually a thing. If you ever go into a grocery store, turn around some of the honeys on the shelf, and you'll be blown to see that corn syrup has been added, sugar. What they do is they water down the product so they have more of it to sell. So just because it says 100% honey on it doesn't mean that it's really 100% honey. So pure honey means nothing's been added. Raw honey means that it has not been heated up. One of the reasons why we heat honey is to pasteurize it. So a lot of the products that are in our American grocery store food systems, they're required to be pasteurized so they can be sold. Hence why the honey is pasteurized. However, when you do heat up honey, you lose some of the medicinal benefits. some of the mineral contents are changed. In addition to that, you don't have the natural occurring vitamins or enzymes that are present. You change the structure of the honey. So organic honey only means that that honey was harvested from bees who had access to plants that were not sprayed with pesticides. I know it's kind of crazy. So you go in a grocery store, you want raw, organic, pure honey. You're looking for all these like adjectives to make sure that you're really getting the real thing. So organic is another thing that you want to consider. I do want to point out you will see unfiltered honey on some products, but that doesn't mean that they're just pulling out some of the residue in terms of like, let's just say bee parts or large debris. It's not the filtering that you're thinking of. It's actually going through a machine and it is being heated up. And also it changes the consistency of it. So unfiltered honey tends to be a little bit more liquid. Have you ever seen honey that's really, really thick and it's really slow, doesn't really move? That's more than likely is unfiltered honey. Filtered honey, I'm sorry, it's filtered. It's filtered honey means that, I'm sorry, what I'm trying to say, more than likely is filter honey. Unfiltered honey means that all the debris is still left in there. It hasn't been cleaned up. And so you're more than likely going to get a product that has not been chemically changed. Any questions? No questions? Okay. So before you get
I have
started
a
with the,
question. I
oh,
have
you
a
do?
question.
Yeah.
Okay. So like I was asking, which honey will you prefer or recommend to someone that is between like pure, raw, organic, and unfiltered? Because on my case, I was thinking organic can be awesome.
Honestly, in America, I would say don't compromise, get raw organic honey. More than likely, it hasn't been filtered, it's in its natural state. In
Mhm.
addition, it's being sourced from bees that haven't consumed chemicals because we kind of are what we eat. And other countries, and probably a less lenient, because there's more natural space that hasn't been heavily regulated by commercial agriculture, you're less likely to have to deal with pesticides. Like whenever I travel, I try the local honey and usually bring a couple different jars. But in America, I would say raw and organic. And more than likely, you're not going to find them in a grocery store. Even though they say that it's raw and that it's organic, your best bet would probably be a local farmer's market because the grocery stores do require all the stuff to be shelf stable as well as pasteurized.
I
Any
like
other?
what you said about trying to try new honeys when you travel. I forgot about the fact that that can be really good for adapting to different climates. Like if you're prone to allergies, like apparently eating honey or pollen that's from the region can help you sort of acclimate more quickly.
Absolutely. And I'm a bubble girl. I'm allergic to everything under the sun. So it's my way of making sure I don't have to pop a Zyrtex or a Claritin to survive in a new landscape. Any other questions or comments? Okay.
Okay,
So,
and I had another question to add on that. Okay, what should one done when maybe like he or she has like these effect of like when he or she takes the honey and then get like a side effect? Do you have any
mm,
recommendation of a certain thing like she should be using or he should be using so that he stop getting those allergies?
oh. I'm not a medical professional, so I would hate to kind of give some advice haphazardly. It depends on what like they're allergic to and what they're dealing with. I do like proactively taking honey to kind of deal with allergies. I will tell you, it doesn't really work here in America. It does a lot better abroad, but there's a whole bunch of other things layered into that. Yeah, I'm sorry I don't have an answer for you.
It's okay. Don't worry.
Okay,
Thank you.
no worries. So to get started, you want to make sure that you are using clean and dry tools. Honey can be spoiled with moisture, and I'm going to get a little into that later. Ideally, you want things to be very dry, and you don't want to work with anything that might be contaminated. So sterilize and make sure what you're using is really clean. Another thing I would encourage you to do is to aim to get a mild honey. When the honey is mild, it's easier to infuse the honey, the flavor that you're seeking into it. There are different varieties that have very strong flavor profiles. And then there's so many honeys to choose from. There's like over 300 types of honey alone here in the United States. But I would recommend a mild tasting honey. To use for infusions. Again, if you're sourcing from a local beekeeper or someone at the farmer's market, they'll be able to tell you which variety is mild. And then finally, we make sure that everything is 360. Whatever you use for infusion, you can always reuse it after you take it out. You can put it in teas, you can dry it. It doesn't need to be thrown away. It still has a second life in rotation. So I do want to make a case for using dry ingredients before we get started. Often when I teach this class, people are like, oh, I went in my yard and I got some rosemary and I got this and this and this and throw it in. And that is great if you're going to monitor the quality of what you're doing and test it for botulism. The reality is when you use fresh ingredients, they have water. You are introducing water into your honey. And from a food safety perspective, that water changes the profile of the honey and also contributes to it to spoil. So it doesn't have the long shelf life if you do use a dry ingredient. Any questions about versus dry or wet or fresh? Okay. So there are two methods of infusing honey. The first one is very straightforward. However, it is slow and steady, meaning you take your honey, you infuse it with the dry ingredients, and you let it sit for a certain period of time. It's very straightforward. It's not changing the composition of the honey. However, that honey is not going to be ready overnight. It's honestly probably not going to be ready in a week. It's something that you tuck away in your cupboard and you access, I want to say a couple months later, that you're able to reap the benefits of it. Heating is exactly what it says it is, where you take your dry ingredients and you put it on a stove and then you mix in the honey, and then you decide at what point the flavor profile is at the level that you want it to be, and then you drain it. So I don't have any prescriptions or advice on how hot the temperature should be because it's really going to depend on the type of pot that you're using to cook in addition, whether you're using gas, fire, or electric. So this process requires you basically to babysit the honey and taste it and manage it accordingly once you're done, once it's at your liking. Any questions? All right, let's get into recipes. So jalapeno infused honey is one of my favorite recipes because it tastes amazing on potatoes, a side of cornbread. You can drizzle it over baked brie. You can use it to glaze pork chops. It's just a really nice thing to have in the back of your refrigerator, and it's super easy to make. So in this case, you use a jalapeno. You can use a dry one or a wet one. However, if I mentioned, if you use a fresh jalapeno, definitely put your honey in the refrigerator and know that you'll have to use it pretty quickly. It will not be shelf stable for years. So you basically pour the honey in, you cut the jalapeno into thin slices, and then you put it in a jar and you let it sit for close to 2 hours or 2 weeks, and then you can use it accordingly. It's easiest pie. Doesn't get any easier than this. However, if you choose to actually use it on the stove, again, just slice up your ingredients, stir it once it's that nice heat level that you like, and you can then discard the pieces or use them for something else. Any questions about this recipe?
What do you recommend is the best option for heating? Do you want like the stove is probably what you would think is best, or what about over a firewood?
You could do it over a fire, but you have to watch it. And the thing about it is that honey is essentially sugar and it can caramelize really, really fast. And so when you're working with honey, you do want a slow boil. I'm biased. I'm a chef. I love cooking on gas and fire. I will die if I have to cook on an electric stove. But I know there's some people who don't have that luxury. And so cooking on an electric stove, you don't have as much control over the heat the way that you do with gas and fire.
Okay.
So that's why I can't say, oh, just turn it to high. No, you want a slow boil. Slow and steady always wins the race when cooking anything in terms of an infusion. You don't want to flash cook it. You don't want it to boil too fast because as soon as you cool it down, it'll start to crystallize.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
No worries. Any other questions? The next is time infused honey. Super easy to do. Yeah, I actually prefer to do this dry method. You just need 2 tablespoons of thyme and you place it in a jar and you let it sit to 3 weeks. This is great to put on Havarti cheese. You can drizzle. I actually drizzle it every morning over Greek yogurt with some walnuts and some fruit. It's my go-to. It's my personal favorite when it comes to honeys. The next is fermented garlic honey. Now, this honey is everything during cold season. It is your best friend. My mother actually takes the garlic out and chews it with the honey daily. She eats garlic every day. And no, she's not a vampire. She's just she just loves the taste of it as well as the medicinal benefits of it. So all you need is 1 bulb of honey and a cup. And basically you can chop it up into pieces or you can actually use whole cloves as well. You stir it up, you put it in a jar, you let it sit for 3 weeks. This is another thing that you can do on a stove as well. I will tell you, this is the base for all my hot toddies, all my cold medicines. Um, it's it's everything. Um, what other thing I wanted to point out? I think that's it. Any questions? Now, for the people who are concerned about botulism, your concerns are valid, especially when you are using fresh items. One way that you can work around this is to use a pH strip that you can buy at any grocery store, off of Amazon, and you can test your honey. Write down these numbers as a go-to. Botulism can't produce with a pH less than 4.6. Honey is around 3.9. So if you test too high, I would double check it with a splash of apple cider vinegar one more time. If it is over and it does actually have botulism in there, throw it out. This is also a disclaimer that honey should not be given to anybody under the age of 1. In America, it is recommended by our medical associations that children under the 1 should not have access to honey. In addition to that, diabetic should completely avoid honey at all costs.
Dená,
Yes.
okay, to ask a question there, why would you say like these diabetic people like should not take honey? Yet honey is just like a natural, it has like natural sugars. However, I don't think like it has that much effect on them.
Well, people who have been diagnosed as diabetics, their body doesn't produce the insulin to process it, and it can put them in a diabetic shock. So when it's concerning sugar with diabetics, even natural sugars aren't good for them. They have to be very steadfast about monitoring their sugar consumption so they don't have other medical consequences. So it's natural, it's healthy, but just like anything in life, it's all relative to the person and what they're dealing with. And unfortunately, if you have diabetes, your body is not producing the insulin that you need.
That's nice.
Any other questions? Okay. So another recipe that's really fun to do is vanilla honey. It's super easy. You just need a vanilla bean. Sorry for that typo. And what you do is you take a knife and you can scrape out all the vanilla out of the pod. In the cold method, you just you can actually use the whole pod as well as the beans that you pull out of it and just mix it up together and put it in. With the hot method, it's the same. You scrape the vanilla bean paste out and then you can infuse it in a pot and then move it over to a jar. Very simple, very straightforward. When I discovered how easy this was, I was like, why am I buying flavored honey? I can make all the honeys under the sun that I want. Next is infused orange honey. All you need is 1 orange and a cup of honey. I would peel the rinds off. Some people like to dry theirs during a dehydrator. Some people let theirs air dry. Some people use them straight off the rind. It's kind of what's your fancy. And then you just put it in a jar and fuse it with the honey. And the cold method, you just pull out the rind of. I will tell you when I make it hot, I actually do squeeze the orange juice into it for extra flavor as well. However, with that honey, again, it doesn't last that long and you do have to refrigerate it immediately. Any questions? Oh, sorry about that. All right, so 10 ways to use flavored honey. You can use it to sweeten tea or lattes. It's really, really good on any type of bread, whether it is a biscuit or a waffle or a pancake. It's a great substitute for maple syrup. You can use it with berries. I absolutely adore putting it on top of whipped ricotta cheese. You can serve it with a charcuterie board. Again, as I mentioned, honey is a workhorse in my kitchen. I use it to make all my salad dressings and my marmalades as an emulsifier to bind like the vinegar and all the flavors all together. It thickens it up. Again, I mentioned a marinade. You can use it to coat any vegetables and roast it. And then finally, you can give it away as a homemade gift. So any questions for me? We have come to an end and we nicely have 15 minutes for questions and discussion.
What did you use for the salmon? What kind of honey did you use?
Oh, so with honey, I usually use I'm sorry, with salmon, I use an orange honey and I mix it with sesame oil and a little bit of coconut aminos, and I make a marinade out of it.
Oh, that sounds tasty. Okay.
Really delicious. See how much fun you can have with it?
Yes, no, I love it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And for chicken too, kind of, that sounds good too, actually, on chicken as
You
well.
can take tomato paste or tomato sauce, mix it with honey and any spices that you have. You can even take hot sauce. You can make any type of marinade you want. The beauty about honey is that it adds the sweetness, but it also works as an emulsifier to make it thicker and to blend everything together.
Yes. Okay.
Any other questions for me? No? Any thoughts? Any reflections? Anything?
Maybe I can just add on what you are, the flavors, the uses of honey that you are trying to show us. I think in Kenya, we kind of use it differently.
Mhm.
Like when we collect honey, like for instance, you gave us an example of garlic and honey.
Mhm.
For us, we boil maybe we make a concoction of lemon, garlic, and maybe we mix it with honey before we taking it. Yeah, I think it's a little bit different, but the concept is still the same.
Oh yeah, we do the same. I use honey to make different varieties of like fire cider. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but there's different tonics that you can make where you throw in herbs, cayenne, honey, lemons, all these magical things with some honey and vinegar to make different tonics and cough syrups as well. So yeah, we use that same variety, but more in a medicinal format to help people with colds and upper respiratory issues.
I had one thing I wanted to add on what Bright Future was asking about having an allergy when when you take honey. So there's a time I used to take honey and I used to feel some weird feeling in the stomach. So I later realized that the variety of honey that I'm taking is causing that effect. So when I take pure honey, I don't have that effect, but when I take this other, I'm having it. So it's just about understanding which type of honey is well conversant with your body.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Wow, that was nice. To add on, Dana, there was something like you're saying like about like the flavor that you use. That is the garlic one. So in my mindset, like when you are saying like three about starting 3 weeks, I remember my grandfather. He used to create. He used to do like beer. There's a wine they create using like wine. That is honey. In our
Mm.
place, they call it like moratina. I don't know if like you are going to. It is just take like about 2 to 3 weeks, and then it has fermented. That they mix. There's a certain like tree they always mix with it. Then they leave it about 2 to 3 weeks, and then it ferment, and then it become traditional beer. That is traditional drinking.
Oh, wow.
Very like nice.
I would like to try that.
But you don't have to take a lot because it's very sweet.
Don't take
You
too
might
much.
take a lot and then
Don't take too much.
No, just a little sip.
just a little.
Yeah,
In
just
fact, when it is like on a sunny day, if you take a lot, oh my God, it
Your
will just
head
hit
is,
you well. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It will ferment in your body, and then you'll be like, oh my God, am I this?
I love that. Any other comments, thoughts, or anything?
I have a question, Danae.
Mm-hmm.
When you're getting honey to with the purpose or the intention of infusing it, are you looking for any specific flavor profile since honeys can be really flavorful already based on what types of plants the bees were like using, or yeah, I guess the pollen from what type of plants they were using. And so I'm curious, yeah, if you look for something that's more neutral or
Mm-hmm. I
if,
do. I
yeah,
do look for something that's mild and neutral. So I usually source my honey from a local farmer's market, and usually it's, harvested by real beekeepers, and they have a couple different varieties. I'll taste all of them, and I'll converse with them to figure out which one's the mildest. And when I say mild, it's not overly sweet. It doesn't overpower you, as well as you're not getting the notes of whatever flowers or pollens that were provided. Like I've had like mango and rose honey and different types of honey that have been cultivated in different environments, and you taste it. Like there's no
right.
denying it. So I go for raw, mild, unfiltered, organic honey that's not overpowering. So it's a nice base for me to use.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Malika? Is it Mika?
Yeah, it's Mika. I don't know. I had a general note about honey when I was younger. Um, I used it on like those painful like cystic pimples that I used to get on my face because of
Mm-hmm.
it would like stop the bacteria growth and kind of ease the pain and stop it from getting worse. Um, yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to share that in case anyone ever gets a weird pimple in the future. It works on that. That's
I
pretty
love
much all.
that. You just reminded me. I used to do honey masks when I was younger. It was before, the days of IG with all these products. We used to do mud mask and honey mask and everything else. Yeah, that's really cool. Thanks for that reminder.
And also, I was to add something about honey. I think it's also it's a good remedy if you have insomnia. It works miracle if you have insomnia. You can
Oh,
take honey and you can easily fall asleep.
I love it.
Yeah.
Any other comments, thoughts? All right. Well, thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate your support, and you get your evening back. Have a great night. And if anyone has any questions, feel free just to email me.
Thank you, Danae.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You wait
Thank you.
to be available.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're registered on Eventbrite, then I'll be following up with her slides and with the recording. It'll
Okay.
also be posted to the Mesa YouTube.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you, ladies.
Thank
You're
you. Thank you, Danae.
welcome.
And take
Have a good
care.
night.
Bye.
Bye.
Dana, make sure
Thank
like you
you.
send to us these like slides, okay?
Yes, they're going to go out to everyone.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
You're welcome.
Good night.
good night.
Good night.
We had like 15 people. I think that's the biggest one I've been to.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, that's
they've been
exciting.
small lately.
Exciting, exciting.
Yeah. I feel like Sabrina must have done like a shout out in the Sage classroom.
Hmm.
All right, I'm gonna close out the Zoom now. Good night.
Good night. Bye.